In a world deeply influenced by social evolution, in a time of culture wars, when traditional definitions are being challenged on many sides, questions arise. Questions like, what defines a good man in our world today? And what if that man is young and hardworking and ambitious and a very talented basketball player? In what ways have his past and his present choices defined his character?
KJ.
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 Coach Rosine just asked me like, what do you want from basketball? Like, what do you want to do with this game? I told him straight up though, I was just like, I want to go to the NBA. Like, I said it straight like that. And he kind of like looked around, kind of like nodded his head and was like, okay, like we got some work to do.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really good childhood.
Go KJ! Go KJ! Go KJ! Go KJ!
Nintendo with the NBA game.
That's gonna be fun, right?
Hello, KJ. Ooh, nice haircut.
Why, thank you. My ABC, next time won't you sing with me? What I can do, cause this is very good.
I got KJ and Jay.
I'm a superstar. Go KJ.
Growing up, KJ was a very happy child, very smart. He was always blessed to be an honor student in the gifted program.
Student of the month of the entire first grade class.
He was always my partner in crime.
Say your song, y'all.
We've always been best friends since we were born, basically.
He was always getting into stuff, always busy, always energetic.
AJ, what's that you got, KJ?
Oh, another basketball.
Well, you know, when he was born, I have to admit, I put a basketball in his crib. And I was laughed at throughout the family. They were like, ha, 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 you don't know what's gonna happen. But I was like, yeah, I got an idea.
Initially, KJ played basketball, baseball, and football. But it was always obvious his love was basketball.
I had bought him a little Nerf basketball set for his bedroom. The ball was probably about the size of a grapefruit, but it was like those soft Nerf ball deals. And at night, I would hear boom, 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 boom in the room. So he was shooting jumpers from across the room into the door. It was a little goal that hung on the door, and he was hitting it and he wasn't missing.
I literally remember when he first started playing organized basketball. He was 5 years old, and it was a clear difference in his gift compared to the other little boys on the court. I mean, they were all cute and fun to watch, but he was always so natural.
Go get KJ, go get.
Athletes move a certain way, and coaches will tell you this. They walk a certain way, they move a certain way, they handle themselves a certain way. And KJ did that a lot early on with basketball. So I picked up on this with him probably around the age of 5 or 6, and we never looked back after that.
Man, I really miss my rec days just because like that was a time when I could play freely. As a young athlete, I mean, everybody has that dream of going to the highest level, going to the NBA.
I remember KJ, everyone that came through this gym or this rec center or even this basketball program remembers KJ.
I just felt like this is a place where this is where it started. Like, I can't ever forget that. I know I come from humble beginnings, and this was a place that means a lot to me, and is a place I still come back to.
One thing that set him apart was his unselfishness, but also his ability to do what he wanted to do on the court. He was years beyond his age group.
And then when he was 10, he and his teammates won the 10U championship.
I really enjoyed my rec games. I won championships, I won MVPs, and I had a really good time with like my teammates and stuff. And again, just a time where like nothing else really mattered. Like, you could just play basketball, good, bad, or indifferent, go about your day. Like, it didn't matter what stats you put up, it didn't matter what you did. Like, it was just about having fun. And I really appreciate those days, because like, I look back and it's like, man, like, I didn't take those days for granted, and I made the most of those days, but they go quick. But it was a very fun time in my life.
Okay, so break down for me the transfer from the one high school to the next, and tell us what school that was. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I started off at Luella High School, and I had been to that like same elementary school, middle school, and went into that high school, and I was a very good player. I started on varsity as a freshman. I started my sophomore year as well. I led the team in scoring both years.
Elka, Eagles Landing Christian Academy, was an up-and-coming basketball powerhouse.
Like, I felt like if I am gonna have a chance to play past high school, I need to make this move, and like, that's why I did. And I did it, and honestly, I don't know if I would have got to Emmanuel if I didn't make that transfer. So I'm glad, and thankful that I, prayed through it and made the right decision there. But it was a very good experience at my first school. I just felt like for myself, I needed to, kind of do something, challenge myself a little bit more, get out of my comfort zone to try to get to the next level.
It was interesting him coming in. We had a very, very good team that year. We didn't have a dominant post player, but we had a kid there that could do the job. But we had elite guards across the board, all college basketball players. The unique part about KJ is, even though he was a starter, my coaching staff and I believed that it would be more advantageous if he came off of the bench as a sixth man.
He went from being in the starting lineup as a freshman on varsity to coming off the bench as a junior. So that was interesting.
Knew everything. Like, I didn't know how I was gonna fit in. Like, guys that were there already were already getting recruited. I was kind of like the odd man out, and just being unsure of like what was next. Like, that was like very hard for me, like, to kind of come to grips with.
But again, he's always positive. He always has faith, and he quickly worked his way back to the starting lineup.
That's where my faith came into play. Like, just continue to be faithful, put in the work. I think like most kids, you kind of just grow up and listening to what your parents tell you to do, like, oh, believe in God, believe in Jesus. And that was me for a while, like when I was really young. And then obviously when I got to an age where I could read and kind of understand a little bit more, I got baptized. I started reading my Bible, kind of asked my mom questions, and kind of started to get an understanding for myself.
One of the things I always tell KJ that means so much to me is that he's a young man of faith.
And I think ultimately just the things that I've been through, like good things, like, and bad things, like there's a sense of peace that I've gained that you can't really gain from another human. And that's when my faith really began to grow.
We didn't have that initial conversation, are you a believer? But through the Christian education at Eagles Landing Christian Academy, I saw how involved he was, and based on his walk, I knew he had become. He started making references to Christ and scripture and things of that nature. So his walk was a testament to his faith.
So you transferred to Eagles Landing Christian Academy, and you found yourself under Coach Mason.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about his program and what he did to advance your skills.
Yeah, so Coach Mason played a really big impact, on my life as well. He was very much a transformational coach.
I remember his first in-game dunk, and the whole bench, the coaching staff erupts because we'd never seen it before, but we knew it was there. And from there, he just took off, and it was a frequent occurrence.
really expanded my game from what I was before that, and was able to transform into a collegiate prospect, because of him.
My name is Coach Brad. I founded a basketball program out of Atlanta called EYA Sports Basketball. I actually met KJ here at Elka, and then his mom reached out and she wanted to kind of get more skill development for him. Each year, it was always something that he wanted to progress in.
So not being heavily recruited out of high school was pretty tough. It was different because I had worked my entire life. You work really hard, you put in all this time and this effort, and to not really see the fruits of your labor, that's a tough feeling as a player because you start to question yourself. You start to have self-doubt, and mentally it will put a block in your head man, should I even do this? Should I even continue prep playing? Should I even keep going? The game that I've loved my entire life, you question that stuff. And so I really just had to look in the mirror and ask myself a question do I want it or do I not? And I decided that I did, and so I had to put my head down and just work.
During the recruiting process for him, it was challenging because I knew that he was a college level player. My staff knew he was a college level player, but it was hard to convince schools of that. And so what my advice to him was always stay committed to our process of getting 1% better. And what God has for you is for you.
Through things I went through in high school and not getting recruited and kind of having self-doubt and just different things like that, I would pray about and then see myself overcome those things. I know Jesus was the one who pulled me through.
When he told me I only need one coach to believe in me and I know I'll get there, just to see him show his faith, speak his faith, was just a moment that meant a lot to me.
This one school is showing that they believe in me, and that's really all you need is one person to believe in you.
Our conversations were always centered around finding that best fit. What's the best fit for you? And he had several schools that were interested, but none as interested as TJ Rosine and his staff here at Emmanuel.
So, Emmanuel ended up being my only offer.
Well, we first learned about KJ through Derek Mason, who was a longtime assistant here.
I saw KJ as an individual that needed someone that genuinely cared about him.
And we heard about him from Derek, and we heard that he was a fit of what we'd be looking for at Emmanuel University, the kind of person he was, the kind of player he was, the choices that he made on and off the court were just things that aligned with what we wanted our culture to align with, so we knew we needed to take a deeper look at him.
We were very excited, very appreciative of the offer because, again, we all knew he had the talent and just needed the opportunity, so we were excited.
I'm just thankful for them taking a chance on me when they didn't have to, when nobody else had offered me, and they saw the potential in me as a person and as a player, and I'm very grateful for that. The first day I came up here, I came to visit and work out in front of the coaches. And
a couple first impressions on KJ. First one was on the court. He was smooth. He knew how to play the game. He made good decisions on the court. He was high skill level, and so those were our first initial reactions. And then our first conversations and getting to know him, you could easily tell that he was just a genuine young man. He was a caring young man.
The first impression I had of KJ as a player was he is a lot better than I thought he was.
KJ adjusted really well, and on the court, he adjusted really well, especially a couple months into it because of his decision-making, his skill level.
His transition into the starting lineup for Emmanuel was interesting because he knew he'd put in the work. And my advice to him was just make sure you're ready. Champions stay ready, they don't get ready. And when his opportunity presented itself, he took full advantage of it.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with your teammates.
I love my teammates.
I remember meeting him in the gym on my visit. He was very friendly, really easy to talk to. Yeah, just telling me a lot about school, making me feel comfortable.
We were just basically telling each other stories, like how we grew up, like how our recruiting process was and stuff like that, coming out of high school. And just off the first interaction, we were kind of talking about our different adversities we had growing up and stuff like that pertaining to basketball.
Freshman year, I met KJ. I met him at my workout in the summer, and then we became roommates. He accepted me and allowed me to work under him.
Him and another guy, they was the first two people I seen. And it was on accident. I haven't even took a visit on campus yet. I just run into him. And they was just they were so welcoming. He was he basically kind of talked my head off a little bit about the school. If I came here, it had to be locked in. So it was a great impression, just off of me, him, the first day.
I couldn't be more thankful for them.
One of the really great things about living in a small town is you never know who you're going to run into.
Mm-hmm.
And so one Saturday morning, I find my way into a local bakery. And I see you there with a guy, and I'm not stalking you or anything. I see you in there with a guy. I'm there with my family, and I just see you so in your life. I see you so, I'm just observant.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was accidental. I saw you sowing your life, sowing yourself into another guy. So talk to me about that kind of thing in your life.
I would just say that just goes back to what I said about just serving people. It means a lot to me to spend time with anybody. So the day you saw me in that shop, I was with a teammate, and I know how important it is for me as a leader to buy into everybody, sow into everybody, and to make sure all the guys on the team, feel appreciated and feel loved. And little things like that means so much to other people. And I feel in that element, it was just me being there with a teammate, just having a meal, having fun. I think it was a game day, just kind of talking through things. And, in those moments, that's when you really learn about somebody and, what they really think. They might tell you things they don't feel comfortable sharing in front of a group.
I'm a pretty serious observer of people. And one of the things that meant something to me was I could tell real quick, you were absolutely locked in. Couldn't have got a piece of paper between you. You guys, there was a connection going on, and you weren't letting your attention go anywhere else. You were locked into this guy. What's that about?
I don't want to take any days for granted, and I want to be as present as possible with whoever I'm with. So I'm intentional each day about, being a great practice player, being a great teammate, and just doing those things, that I know that I'm not gonna regret doing.
I've noticed KJ move into a leadership role in not only reaching out to more players individually, but he's communicating more out in front of the group, and he's holding a standard more than he ever has.
KJ leads in a lot of different ways. One of the ways that KJ's a really good leader is he's a silent leader.
KJ's done a phenomenal job of being a leader by example.
Leadership-wise was being more of a vocal leader.
After basketball, or maybe in the off season of basketball, that you have an interest in another profession as well, and you wanted to serve mankind and humanity with it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so if the NBA was not a thing and I were to, kind of go a different route, I've always been interested in being a lawyer. And that's kind of sparked because me and my sister have a really good relationship, but we used to argue a lot. So I grew up liking to debate. And so I like proving things or proving myself right, you know, against other people. And also just, I feel like that's another occupation where you can serve other people, where you can help people, because I know people are, you know, wrongfully, you know, convicted of things all the time. And like, that would be my passion, like being a defense attorney. Like, and that's just been something I've always been interested in, and just talking and, you know, helping people out and just having a servant's heart. And I feel like that's a route that I could take that would help me to do that, so.
One of the things we do at Emmanuel is we make sure students understand that life really is a series of choices.
KJ Jones was a dream student.
He was always prepared.
He was very structured, he was very disciplined, and he set goals for himself on the court and in the classroom.
It was really, really good to watch him throughout the entire semester just be this steady presence within the classroom.
The body, mind, and soul all go together to make you who you are, and he's constantly striving to do excellent work on the court and in the classroom, in his relationships.
Make choices that are consistent with where you want to be and where you think God wants you to be. And I think that's what KJ's done, and he's a great example of making those kind of choices.
When we have our awards ceremony on the first day of the basketball tournament, and you know, I'm so busy sometimes I don't always track ahead of time on who's winning all the awards until they're coming up to me to get the award. And of course, KJ came up as our Player of the Year, which I did know that was going to be the case, and that was obvious because he was clearly the Player of the Year in the conference. But he also came up in that same award ceremony to receive our Elite 23 award. The Elite 23 award is given to the student athlete with the highest grade point average competing at the championship. And I can tell you this, it is not often that the same person is the top athlete and has the top grade point average and the top student. And so that combination is very special.
Last season was interesting. It was a lot of ups and downs. We finally picked it up and found our groove and went to win 16 in a row and just kind of become that team that we knew we could become.
We was just all in, you know, it was like strictly business, like we was there, we was ready for anything.
We ended up going like a 16, 17 game win streak that got us into the national tournament. Winning the conference championship.
But, you know, it brought us a lot closer as friends, you know, and as players on the court.
And for the second time in program history, they are the Kings of Conference Carolinas.
One of the times that stick out to me is just winning and going to the Sweet 16 in our national tournament, just watching him in the press conference.
Like battling and embracing the adversity prepared us for moments like today. And I believe that you come into a championship game, but you're champions before that. You know, you just win it on that day. And I think that adversity is a part of the things you have to go through to win.
You know, I just remember the embrace after the conference championship. He was just so happy for his teammates and his coaches, and he had put so much work in there. You know, you could just feel the love in the embrace, and I just, that moment was one that I'll cherish forever. You know, KJ got invited to Dame Lillard's Formula Zero, and he's the first ever D2 player to get invited to that. And they found him, and I say this all the time, like, if you're good, they'll find you, and they did. They found him, and they invited him. They knew he needed to be there, and he belonged. And
it's moments like that, like, you can't take for granted. Like you're the first, like, that's history. And just with my background and, like, where I come from and not being highly recruited out of high school to now being the only Division II player to ever be invited to such a prestigious camp like that, it meant everything to me.
So share the experience for us of you walking into the camp and how it all unfolded.
Just being in the presence of so many good players, because it was like Damian Lillard and then other NBA players who he had with him, like his trainers, all the NBA scouts, like there's a reason to have an appropriate nervousness there. Like, and so that was definitely what it was in the beginning, but once you start shooting around, talking to guys, you kind of start to ease up a little bit. And then I think one thing that really helped me was the fact that Dame was just so like personable, and he was very humble and like very in touch with us. It didn't feel like, oh, it's an NBA player and like it's us. It very much felt like a community.
He went there and he's always a sponge. And so when you put him in the room with people like that and he gains that knowledge of what it looks like to be a pro, it's just gonna bode well for him in the future.
The most challenging part of it was just like trying to soak in everything, because he gave us so much information, and we had like notepads and stuff that we took notes down in, and I have a whole book full of stuff that I learned from the camp. But just, I would say the most challenging part was just the mental part. Like I don't want to forget anything. The other players that were invited to this camp were all Division I players, mostly high major. There were a few mid-major guys that were there, but all very high level Division I players. And so like, that was really cool just to be able to experience that with them, because, you know, they come from these big programs with, you know, all these trainers and different resources, and so you think about like how you stack up, you know, against that type of competition with those type of people. And it was really cool just to be in a room with being the only one that was different. Like I'm not from the same place that y'all come from, but yet I'm still here, and that just gave me a sense of belonging, to be honest.
You know, anytime you have a level talent like KJ is, there's going to be opportunities, and there's going to be bigger schools, Division I institutions that are going to be interested in trying to recruit your student athletes. And KJ's such a talented athlete and has performed so well in the classroom. Again, he checks a lot of boxes, so he's got a lot of attention.
You know, honestly, my advice to KJ was, you know, hey, if you want to go, you've done everything for us we've ever asked. Like, you've just been a great teammate, you've worked hard, you've been a great player, we've won a ton of games. Like, you deserve whatever choices are in front of you.
I chose to come back to Emmanuel.
He had a lot of opportunities to go somewhere else after last year, but he chose to come back here and, you know, pursue a national championship.
You know, to hear him come back and decide to stay, and the reasons he decided to stay was, I think, just, I mean, almost unbelievable in this day and time.
And the fact that he chose to stay with us is a real plus for the university.
He could leave and he could do all these other things, but he stays and does things not only for himself, but for all of us.
He had the right to go on. He had the right to go choose something else, but he just chose to dance a different dance. You know, he chose to go a different direction and to write his own story, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of this story.
I mean, there was no greater recruit that we could have brought in than him returning for his final season. And so just obviously just overfilled with, you know, a lot of joy and excitement, not only because of who he is as a basketball player, but just the person as well too.
I had one offer to come to Emmanuel, and again, that's where I felt God wanted me to be. My goal when I got to Emmanuel didn't change because I didn't go D1. Like, my goal has always been to make it to the NBA. I came to the realization, like, the work that I put in at Emmanuel that it takes to get to the NBA is the same work that it would take at another school. And so the title or the name of the university that you attend isn't the ticket that is going to take you to that next level. So the work is going to have to be put in regardless. So I made a commitment to myself that I'm going to make it from here. Like, I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to do whatever it takes necessary, make the sacrifices I need to make to get to where I'm trying to get to.
KJ has had lots of choices throughout his career, and he's made the choice that Emmanuel University, Conference Carolina's Division II is where he is and where he wants to make his home. And so the scouts are going to find him, and they have found him, and they are coming and they are watching, and we're excited to see what that means in the future.
You know, KJ's next team is going to get a really special player. They're going to get a player that shows up to work every day.
Whatever team he's for, they'll get a great guy.
They're going to get somebody who can score at all three levels and knows how to play defense.
And they're getting a guy that has the ability to literally do whatever it takes to win, or whatever role that they're going to put him in, he's going to excel in that role.
I feel like they just have that rookie there that just listens. Everybody want that coachable, you know, rookie. So I feel like he'll be that guy. He'll be that sponge again.
He's going to be selfless. He's going to love those guys. He's going to just keep working and continue to get better.
They're going to get a leader for their team. They're going to get a team member that will gain the respect of other team members just because of the way he lives and the way he makes decisions.
When an NBA team gives KJ the opportunity, they are going to get a champion in body, mind, and soul.
On February 28, 2024, KJ Jones II played his final regular season game for the Emmanuel University men's basketball program. He started the game just 23 points from achieving a milestone that few college players achieve and even fewer in Division II. The game was difficult in many ways. When the game began, points just refused to fall for him. The opposing team singled him out for some very rough treatment, determined that Jones would reach no record in their house. After being taken to the court a number of times, there came a certain moment when KJ got up from the floor, just like other times that night. But this time, something in him had changed down deep inside. And in that instant, the opposing team's game plan just didn't matter anymore. Confidence, determination, and an overwhelming sense of peace overtook KJ Jones II, and it was on. Minute by minute, as the game clock ticked down, KJ made opportunities of his opponent's mistakes and weaknesses. His teammates rallied to the cause. Let's win one for KJ. Then late in the second period, after being fouled, KJ hit one and then two free throws, and against many odds, he scored his 23rd point of the game and made his way into the record books, having scored 3,000 points in his college career, a feat only 13 players have accomplished in men's NCAA Division II history. After a short celebration with his teammates, KJ humbly took a seat at the end of the bench and cheered the team for the rest of the game and on to their eventual victory that night.
KJ, what an exciting night tonight. We're here. You eclipsed that 3,000 point mark. What does a night like this mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. It's one of those accomplishments that it means a lot because it's not something you really set out to do. It's just a product of like all the work I put in and the hard work over a long period of time. And I'm just thankful to play with a group of guys and a group of coaches who allowed me to go out there and do what I do. And ultimately, they're the reason I was able to accomplish such an accomplishment.
It is an amazing night. First of all, we praise God for the gift that He has given KJ. It's beyond a blessing. We're humbled, we're thankful, we're proud.
The ultimate understanding that Kelvin's work has really paid off. He did what he needed to do. He's worked on it for years and years and years, and I'm so proud for him because he earned it. It makes my heart full.
Yeah, I mean, he means everything. He epitomizes everything that's, what basketball, an academic student, a leader.
As your college career comes to an end, what do you look forward to next?
I'm just excited for the next chapter. I'm just excited to continue to grow and get better on and off the court and just continue to get better specifically as a player. I'm going to the next level, and we have a few more championships to win first here in college and then on to bigger and greater things going to the next level.
In the final analysis, it appears that choices really do make the man, or at least they do in the life of KJ Jones II. In a world of changing values, KJ has chosen to stand for loyalty, character, and devotion to the brand, just because it's the right thing to do. Men who make good choices are not born, they're made, constructed in good families, educated by those who value truth, and trained hour after hour by coaches who are true leaders of men on and off the court. And for all these virtues to have meaning, a man must be made whole by faith in God, body, mind, and soul. KJ Jones II has been blessed in all these regards. As he looks forward to the NBA draft in June 2024, he carries with him not only his hopes and dreams, but also the best wishes of his family, friends, coaches, and teammates, Conference Carolinas, and Emmanuel University.
My prayer for KJ is to be in God's will.
That he stays grounded and keeps God in the center of everything that he does.
But ultimately, I want the will of God to be done in his life.
He attains all of the desires of his heart.
They know God, they know their identity in God, and they understand what God's purpose is for their life, and they follow that with everything they have in them.
I want him to be a strong man, a good father, a good husband, and a person that people can follow a path.
Just to keep that same mindset that he has.
He will be able to use the amazing skills and talents that God has given him to make a difference in this world.
To stay humble.
Is for great, mighty, and wonderful things.
Is that he maintains the integrity that he already has exuded here.
Love you, bro. Thankful for you.
You know I'm here with you, and I know you're gonna make it. I'm here every step of the way.
We're so proud that you wore the Emmanuel jersey for 5 years, and not only are we going to miss you on the floor, but my family's going to miss you, and now we love you and just so grateful for our time together.
That would be a lot of pressure for some young men to shoulder, but his choices have helped make KJ strong. Regardless of the outcome of the NBA draft, KJ Jones has a plan for his life and the confidence and stamina to make a go of any outcome. I'd never choose to be the man foolish enough to bet against any team on which KJ Jones is a player. Because it's true, choices really do make the man.